Alrighty guys, so I did get the piston and rings that I thought I might potentially need for the cylinder. But upon closer inspection and throwing a set of 15 over rings in here, I'm going to say 15 over is the way to go. Look at that gap in there. I'll have to get the spec out and make sure that's not too tight, but I think I'm going to be reusing the original piston. I may swap out the wrist pin because the wrist pin is actually kind of worn in this thing. I had a little bit of slop on the rod. So yeah, I'll kind of hook this piston over as long as I don't see anything wrong with it terribly, which I don't really see anything. I'll have to check that mark out there. You guys see it? Oh yeah, right there. So check that out, make sure it's just a scratch in it, but otherwise, gonna check that thing out and throw it back together. But that's really all I got going on today. I think I'm just gonna go in the house and edit some videos. So focus. Later guys. Alrighty guys, so pretty much what I'm gonna do here, and I have basically a guide on how to do this right in front of me, but if you guys are working on a Model L, you can pause that and look at it. But basically the top compression ring needs 12 to 20 thousandths. The middle compression ring, or the second ring, needs 0.008 to 16. So apparently that one needs to be a little bit tighter. Three-piece oil ring set, they should have a 015 to a 055. I would think the oil scraper, you want that a little bit tighter, but just show you what I know. And basically this is a set of instructions that GT Parts, or GT Gravely Parts, sent out quite a while ago. I've had this for a couple years at least, whenever I did the 44. And the set of rings I got now, near as I could tell, they do not give you this anymore. So I guess they want you to you know, figure that out on your own, or it's pretty much the only question I ever have is the wafer, or the three-piece oil ring. Basically they butt up, the ends butt up against each other, they do not overlap. That is the main thing, and then basically make sure your rings aren't aligned whenever I get that far along. So, but anyhow, for right now I'm going to go down through and check my specs. That one is pretty tight. I would bet you that is real close 12. So this might be the first motor I put together that's actually in spec. Oh, you guys know how it goes. But anyhow guys, let me get this put together, and then I'll see what happens. I can see the corner of that dragon, so yeah, I'll take and hit the outsides with a file and knock the edges off. But once it goes up and down a while, it'll all seat in and be okay anyhow. So I'm not going to show you guys step by step, just check the ring gap, and yeah, I'll get the feelers gauge out and tell you guys what it is right now. So here we go. So the top ring here, which is what I have installed, is 16 thousandths. So it's towards the upper end, but there's still 4 thousandths worth of wear there before it even be a problem. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be scared to go if it was about 24 or so, I would still run it personally myself. Like I said, I'm not building a race motor or a motor that is going to run for 24 hours straight. I'm building a motor that is not going to smoke and run reliably for maybe 3 hours a year, tops. So I think that'll do okay, and it'll be way better than it was before. At least I hope so, anyhow. Only one way to find out. So let me check the other rings and I'll tell you what I get here. Okay, number 2 ring is about a 10 thousandths. Hopefully you guys can read that there. See if I can get the camera to go back out of macro. Kind of in the dark side of the moon here, but it goes through there with a little bit of a light drag. So that is on the lower end, 08 to 16. So That's pretty good. It's probably actually more like an 11 or so, so still alright there. And I figured, I did find this and figured I would show this too. Shows the top ring, which is square, can go either way. And the second ring, the chamfer goes down. That was the only question I had, because I don't rebuild these motors every day, and I haven't been into one. Did I rebuild an L motor last winter? I don't think I did. I think I got a bunch running, but I never got into them, so. Okay, see what I can do. And here's also the way you can pause it and read it there, how they want your ring gaps whenever you put them on the piston. So I'm going to do the old usual, and I'll just make sure none of them are lined up with the expansion slot in the piston here. And go from here. And go from here. Yeah, go from there. Because actually this isn't the piston I'm using. This is actually a 10 over piston. The piston I'm using is a 15 over right there. And I'm going to switch the wrist pin because I can actually feel a little bit of a ridge. It's actually wore on the piston side too, not on the rod side, which is unusual. So, okay. Continuing on. So far everything's been good, so oil ring should be alright too, right? Sure. So guys, for curiosity's sake, I got the old rings off the piston. I actually ended up breaking the second ring, so I couldn't do this, but you guys can see the ring gap in there, I think. It's about darn near 1/8 of an inch. This is a 10 thousandths feeler gauge. And you guys could see I could easily put 3 of those in there. So the ring gap was definitely not up to snuff. Now I did hone the cylinder a good bit, so who knows. But anyhow, I'm gonna get these rings put on here and go from there, guys. Alrighty guys, now you've got your rings on and your end gaps set where they need to be. The last, well, I don't want to say the last, but definitely the last crucial detail to this is, where does this notch go? Well, in most small air-cooled engines, the notch goes towards the front of the engine. But the front of the engine on a Gravely is actually the back. And the other thing you want to do is the expansion slot needs to go towards the exhaust, or on the exhaust side, because obviously the exhaust side is going to get hotter. So pretty much the way this is sitting, it actually needs to go, I twisted it a little bit, but it needs to go like that. So before I put this in here, I'm going to oil the rings up really good, and then I'm just kind of, I don't have a ring compressor. I've used a hose clamp before. That works. Basically for me and L motors, because L motors don't really have that strong of rings. You can take your fingers or, you know, carefully with a screwdriver, get the rings started down in there, and then just keep tapping them down in, and that works pretty good. Now if you have a fancy ring compressor and stuff, you sir are the MVP. And that's the shit to put these together, because that makes it so much easier. I don't have one. I ought to buy the proper tools to do stuff, like the ring removal tools and installation tools and all that sort of stuff. But for the most part, you can get by with regular hand tools and get the job done. Is it as pretty or as quick? No. No, you are correct. Not as pretty or as quick or as elegant, I guess is maybe the way to put it. Elegance. We're not doing it the elegant way. We're doing it the buffoon with a big hammer way. So anyhow, like I said, let me oil these rings up and get that put in here. Gonna harvest a wrist pin out of another piston and stick in here and go from here. And you guys probably won't see much more of me. I think I got the tractor cleaned up pretty good. I'm going to have to put a bead of RTV on the cylinder base and stuff like that, but otherwise we're pretty much ready to go together. Do I have to put this together tonight? No, not really, but I'm gonna oil this up, get it put together. It'd be nice to get the cylinder sitting down on the tractor and let the oil bleed down through the rings, but if I get this piston and the cylinder tonight, I will be happy with my forward progress. It's 7 o'clock at night, so should be able to do that within an hour. Then I gotta clean this up so the RTV will stick to it and clean it off and blah 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 blah. Anyhow, back in a bit, guys. So another little Steve useful tidbit. I like to start the wrist pin through the back side of the motor, or the fan shroud side, because it's a whole lot easier to try and drive it from the back of the tractor while you're swinging the cylinder over top than it is trying to drive it from the air cleaner side. Can it be done either way? Yeah, technically, yeah, but it's a whole lot easier. And I find it's a whole lot easier to put the piston in on the bench and wrestle with the whole cylinder a little bit than it is to try and put the piston on the rod first and try and get the rings started straight up in the cylinder. I have always had a bad time with that. Maybe it's just me, but that's trouble I've ran into. And another trick to that is if you let the rod stick out, if you let the wrist pin stick out for the rod to catch on just a hair, you can kind of get it lined up and feel it started, and then you can take a hammer, or I tend to like to use an extension. A 3/8 extension works really good to pound on these, and get it started. So that's what I do. That's what I've done. So yeah, pretty much I'm gonna clean this stuff up. I'm gonna put this one clip in. I saw this wiggling here. Didn't want it to fall on the bench when I fall off the bench when I walked away. Put the clip in on this side to drive to, and then you can just put the other clip in with a pair of needle nose pliers. Works pretty good with these to compress them and take them in and out. So, alrighty, guys. Pretty much at this point, I guess I'm gonna put the cylinder on. Let some oil soak down through it. That's just something I do. Do you necessarily have to do that? No, but if you put some oil on top of the piston, let it soak down through the rings overnight, then you'll know everything has a good bit of oil, or at least a coating of oil on it, the first time you go to turn this baby over. So, alrighty, guys. We'll get all that done, and I'll be back at you. I need to change out this bracket back here for the fan shroud before I go much further than that, and I may or may not have one of those on a block behind me. I'll have to look at that. If not, I'll have to go out to my parts pile maybe tomorrow night. It's supposed to be colder tomorrow night. I don't know. This thing might sit for 2 or 3 days before I get back to it, but anyhow, that's gonna be what I'm up to. Bring you guys back if anything interesting happens, but right now it should be good to go. Alright, guys, got her all slapped back together here. Like I said, I'm gonna have to do some things before I go a whole lot further in this. And while the cylinder is still kind of open, I'm going to scrape all the oil and crud and stuff out of the cooling fins. And that'll make it run a lot cooler and whatnot. So pretty much I'm going to let it sit tonight with that little bit of oil on top of the piston. And tomorrow night, although I think it's supposed to be cold tomorrow night, I don't remember. I kind of think so, but anyhow, if it's tomorrow night, or if it's not tomorrow night, it's the next night, whenever I happen to get back out here. We'll go from there, guys, and we'll put her back together and get it back running, and hopefully it smokes a whole lot less than it did before. So, stay tuned, guys. Alrighty, guys, so it's actually been 2 nights now at this point. I figured, since I'm over here working, I'll show you guys one of the free things I got. I got a little flashlight from GT Gravely parts upside down, but you guys get the idea. Anyhow, the oil is still on top of the cylinder head after 2 nights. So I'm going to say we got a fairly tight motor. Actually, I'll be honest with you guys, I think this is one of the few L's that I've built that have been totally in spec. Does that scare me a little bit? Probably. Because if they're totally in spec, that means it'll probably smoke. Murphy's Law. You guys know how it goes. Always something wrong. It's what you can't see that'll get you. So, I'm going to torque the jug down tonight. Well, I'm going to tighten the jug down. If I say torque, that would imply I'm actually using a torque wrench. Don't even own one. I'm going to get the fan shroud support swapped out. And at that point, I can put the cylinder head back on, put the fan shroud back down on it, hook up the fuel line and the fan belt and the shift rods, and then I can start it. Probably going to start it tonight. It is a pretty warm night. It's like somewhere around 40 some degrees or right around 50, so it's not real cold tonight, but going to be a good night to do it. So, get this done, and we'll move back into this. I got the rest of the parts laying there for the 126, and then I'll start wiring that baby. Maybe while I'm in Blairsville tomorrow, I'll see if I got a key switch for it. That still has the international key switch in it, which I don't have a key for. I got 2 of them sitting here without a damn key for the switch. So, okay, let me get that done, and I get that all done back together. The fins cleaned out and everything. And I'll bring you guys back for the first start, and we'll just see what it does. I know it's going to smoke a little bit just because I had oil all down through it, but, you know, I'm going to soak the oil out of there and put you guys on a charge, because apparently as soon as I start recording a video, it goes from 4 bars to 2 bars on my battery. This might not be the new battery, because I was swapping batteries when I was doing a lot of stuff, and who knows. I got to figure out what I did with them batteries too. So anyhow, be back with you guys when I get it put together. So back here in my parts hoard, we got blocks, and you can see the 2 different styles. The 3/8 nuts and the 1/2 inch nuts. See the difference? Big difference. So I need the smaller style. That only has 1 good one. That one's broke off. It should be good. I'm going to double check the other side on that tractor. And as long as it's okay, I'm just going to swipe this one and put it on there. So, when I get the impact, and I'll do that. Figured I'd show you guys that though. You know, what's behind door number 1. Alrighty guys, got her all put back together here. I'm gonna throw you guys up on the tripod. I'll give her maybe 3 or 5 pulls or something like that. If that don't work, I'll get the electric start cart. I kind of got stuff piled in here right now. I can't get to it real easy, but yeah, I'll just give this thing a couple pulls. I got the exhaust fan on already, and we'll just see if she lights off and goes. I'm gonna check the gas off camera here, and we'll go from there. See what happens. The only other thing I need to do, and I don't know if you guys can see it, that bolt hole over there is stripped for that. It is a head bolt, and the cooling, it holds that heat shield up there. Shroud director, air director, whatever you want to call it. So I need to get a nut and a long enough bolt and put on that. But for right now, it's only 1 head bolt. I'm not going to work it. So, okay, throw you guys on the tripod and check the gas. We'll try pull starting this baby, see what happens. Alrighty guys, got the gas, got the choke set, hopefully the throttle's set. I don't remember how this tractor liked to start, but we'll just give her the old just a touch of throttle and some choke. I did notice this tractor has some end play in the crankshaft, so I'll have to fix that in a bit. But for right now, I just want to see if she'll smoke real bad or not. So here we go. It'd be real nice if this 126 wasn't right here. All I can say is she's tight to turn over now. She's got compression. The PPA is not engaged or something stupid. Nope. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to full start this, guys. I think it's got too much compression. I can't get it to spin over like it should. I'll give her 2 more here and then I'll just get the electric start cart. Could just be because the oil's thick. Yep. Okay, let me get the electric start cart over here and then I'll come back. About 3/4 choke. Kinda forgot I need to fix the switch on this. Well, if that thing had good fuel and spark, probably should have lit off there. I didn't check the valves, but come on. I really need to fix the electric start cart, but it hasn't been on my list. Might have to go up higher on my list. Try full choke. I don't really smell any gas, so maybe it's not getting gas on it. Oh, there we go. Now it's puffing. Sounds like there's carbon under the exhaust valve. Thinking I might have to adjust the exhaust valve. Yep. I'm thinking I need to adjust the exhaust valve, guys. Okay, let me shut the camera off and crank this thing over a second. I think the battery just died though. So, see what happens. Yeah, I think the valves need adjusted, guys, so I'll adjust the valves on it tomorrow night. See what happens then. Alrighty, guys, so it's the next day here. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm off early for good behavior for New Year's. So pretty much I checked the valves, I adjusted the valves, both the intake and the exhaust had no clearance. So how this thing was trying to fire last night, not 100% sure, but it just goes to prove with a Gravely, it may run as long as you get it to spin over. It probably wouldn't run well, but it would have ran. But yeah, I adjusted the valves. I just got the 12 thousandths both of them. And right now, got it on a full choke here. I got the exhaust fan on. It has been cold here tonight. It was in the 30s last night. It actually snowed. So anyhow, just I got my exhaust fan on too, and the heater's going in the background. So see what you'll do here. What do you guys think? Pop right off and purr like a kitten? Not quite that fast. It's probably flooded to all get out, is what I'm guessing. So it was at least firing last night, so a touch more throttle. Go off the choke hair. Get more throttle. I think I'm having fuel issues now. I haven't had this thing running in a couple months. There is some gas in here, but I don't know how good it is. Actually, needs more fuel. Hold on a minute, guys. Let me get a gas can. I'll always show you guys my mistakes. Yesterday when I checked this, the outlet was covered, but I did crank it over for a while last night when I used it all up. So we'll let that run down in there. And considering it was starting before, it shouldn't take too awful much now, hopefully. Probably full start now. Maybe not. smoking. Before it smoked like a train. It just smoked me out of here in about 2 minutes. So I'm happy and pleased with that. Burned some oil off that I spilled on the cylinder. So, all right, guys, that's what happens when you rebuild a motor the right way. And it was pumping oil and everything. So another successful project to roll out of the shop. Just kind of got to open up some room behind it here so I should just put this thing somewhere. It's on my list. I'll probably do it today in the daylight if I can start it up and drive it out of here, and then we'll go over to this. So. Alright guys, thanks for watching the rebuild process. Even though I really didn't show how to do it, I just showed that I rebuilt this thing, and we'll catch everybody next year. It's New Year's Eve, so later guys. Running pretty good, guys. Sounds great. Now I just gotta go find a parking spot for this thing.